Oh, good morning, everyone. It's really good to see you, and it's a wonderful, intimate little group. It's really quite nice. Yesterday, I was thinking to myself that I thought that this would be such a strange sort of situation. I haven't done it, so I've been in front of, been with the Zendo actually sitting with you for so long. Been, God, I don't know, since the last time it was over 2 years ago, and I remember that. As I remember, Zazen and I were doing karaoke at zazen just prior to the closing down of everything. And so this is my first time back. And yet, seems like I was just here yesterday. And it is really wonderful. I kind of thought that I would be, I had all these scenarios going on in my head, and I was thinking that, oh, this would be so strange and so uncomfortable, and yet, it's not like I had thought it would be. It's completely different, as most things in my life tend to be not what I had expected. I had planned on saying, oh, well, gosh, you know, years ago I used to pose at the Art Students League and as a life model, and it was easier to do that in front of 50 people than to sit here and do a Dharma talk. And yet, I don't feel that way today. So things have changed, and actually so much of my Dharma talk seems to have changed since yesterday. One of the things that I have noticed lately in myself in particular, and just in general, is how we all want to be safe, secure. We want to be certain about things. We want everything to be nailed down and everything to be pleasant. And yet, after practicing Zen for the years that I have in sitting zazen, I know the only thing that I can really rely on is not knowing, impermanence, and change. Those are the things that I really know are going to happen. The rest of it is like, they're actually just kind of wishes that I have. I would love things to be perfect and just everything would be so nice. Every day when I get up in the morning, I'm met with some sort of bump in the road. The world economy, war, strife, elections, you name it. There's all kinds of things that meet me when I'm looking at the, well, I usually get up and, well, actually, my wife looks at the news right off the bat, and she tells me all about it. I try to avoid that first thing in the morning, but she tells me. And I have other distracting occurrences that take place all during the day. Right now, my wife and I are in the process of purchasing a condo, and there seems to be this never-ending flow of requests from the bank. They want to know everything about my finances, and I have to come up with answers for them. Sometimes it's overwhelming, and when I notice it, and I feel lost and bogged down in the mud, and it's hard to go forward again. But eventually I do. In my world, I'm supposed to be strong, error-free. I don't make mistakes, and if I do, I certainly am going to hide them. I'm not going to let anybody know about that, and not show any sign of stress or worry. You know, that is just not something that is acceptable. And I learned that very well from my mother. My mother taught me well. An example of that is when I was about 10 years old, she came down with appendicitis. And you would not have known it. You would never have known she was in pain, that it was bothering her at all. And eventually, when I got to where she couldn't take it anymore, she decided to go to the doctor, and they put her in the hospital, and she nearly died. She just was not going to let anybody know that she couldn't carry on. And the first time I remember, not anything quite like that, but the first time I'm really affected by the idea of how things have to be perfect and how I can't show these things was when I was in the first grade and learning mathematics. As I remember, I worked hard to learn to do adding and subtracting, and I felt and I was very confident that I knew it very, very well. I mean, no problem. And when it came time to take the test, I was ready. And when I got the test back, I was completely surprised. Because what I got back was, I only got 70%, maybe 75% of the things right. And I remember feeling heartbroken and angry. And it wasn't what I had expected or wanted to have happen. And so, I carried on from that. And yet, I had this happen over and over again, and eventually I got to the point where I just gave up. I said, what's the point of trying? It's just, the stress, the fear of failure was just too much for me to take as a child. And so I just, and this has carried on through my life. When I get stressed, I back off and I hide. And, so I did this, I did back off and I did not do my homework. I didn't do homework. I didn't read, I didn't do anything. My reaction to the test taking has been with me all of my life. And when I left high school, I had a D average. And I'm not sure that I didn't really deserve an F average. I'm surprised I got out of high school. But despite all that, I've done pretty well in life. Actually, looking at my life, it's been pretty good. And it's really funny because I worked in the plumbing trade, and the one thing that had put me in this incident was mathematics. And yet, when I was plumbing, I had to learn geometry. So I taught myself geometry, and I used it nearly every day. It's sort of kind of one of those things that you need to have when you're plumbing, especially when you're doing construction. And I found that I really enjoyed it. I like doing geometry, to my surprise. So I did learn math in the end, and this practice has helped me to be aware of my suffering. As a suffering, I sit and I'm aware of all these things that go on, and zazen is really helpful for looking at all of these different layers. And I've heard it said that it's like peeling off layers of an onion. Now, there are times, and actually as of late, that I've felt that it's more like being flayed. And I don't think that I'm alone in this. I think that a lot of people feel that way too. And so when you start peeling off the layers, there's some real discomfort in that. And I think, and I feel very deeply, very compassionate for the suffering and the doubt and the insecurity that so many people have. It really can bring tears to my eyes. And actually, the other day, I just broke down. I couldn't really, it was just too much. And today, I kind of feel a little bit of that too. People suffer so much because they want that security. They want things to be perfect. From my point of view, what is going on in the U.S. is a sense of insecurity in a lot of ways. We all have a view of what is a perfect society and a perfect country and a perfect world, and what that would be. How many times I heard this? In a perfect world, things would be this way or that way. And as my sister used to say, she was much older than I, but back in the 60s, if I was given the power, I could fix the country, and then I'd give it back. She was always certain she could fix these things. loved my sister. And all of this revolves around clinging to the past or having how we imagine the future will be. Not saying, seeing how good things are right at this moment. And it really is. Right this moment, this is beautiful. And I'm really enjoying speaking. I've been looking at a koan from the Blue Cliff record, case 6. Yunmen's every day is a good day. Yunmen said, I don't ask about before the 15th day. Try to say something after the 15th day. Yunmen himself answered by, for everyone, every day is a good day. And I think he's saying, don't dwell on the past, don't try to fantasize what the future is going to be, but be in the present, be right now. Don't get caught up in, oh my God, what's coming next? But appreciate what our lives are at this very moment. They're so precious. And actually, like I said right now, everything is just so beautiful. Bokishu has been so kind to me. And I have to say that he has. He's been very, very kind to me. And I appreciate it. And anyway, where am I? Every moment is filled with all kinds of experiences. And in my mind, some are pleasant and some aren't. But if I don't discriminate, if I don't look this way or that way, and just deal with each experience as it comes up, then things are much easier, and actually they're not bad at all. My life is still complicated, but I can handle it. I can go for, and I can deal with it as it comes. But if I go with those fantasies like I had yesterday, my God, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be hiding someplace in the corner, probably. As I said earlier, and I'm in the process of buying a condo. In addition to having medical tests done, I didn't say that, but anyway, I'm having medical tests done as of late. And when I can focus on each of them one by one as they come up, on the documents, the bag requests, which seem endless, and scheduling the doctor's appointments, then it's all quite easy. It's really not hard at all. These days are good days. But when I start worrying about what's coming in the future, then anxiety sets in, and I want to avoid all of it. I really want to just find some place to hide somehow, or just drop it, as I used to do in the past. One of the examples, an example of one of my really good days is when I'm really present and aware, is when I'm working at the potter's wheel. I begin with wedging the clay, which is kind of kneading it. The process starts to come into focus. Slapping the clay down on the wheel, I feel the contact of the clay to the wheel and to my hands. Centering the clay and I are all there is. And there's nothing else that enters my mind. My mind is completely clear. I have an idea of what I intend to make, say a tea bowl, a vase, maybe a plate, something like that. Could be all kinds of things, but with no expectations of how it will turn out. I don't really expect that it's going to be one way or another. I know that from experience that it could come out and could be another lump of clay at the end. And that feeling of not having expectations is a very wonderful feeling. Very much how I feel when doing zazen, coming to the zafu with no expectations. How different that is from my experience with math and filling out bank forms at times. Staying in the present for any length of time, I find really difficult. It comes and it goes. My mind keeps feeding me reasons to worry. But doing this practice makes it easier over time to stay present. I remember when I first started my practice, I wasn't sure what being present and being aware were. It was very foreign to me and couldn't grasp what that would be like. Looking back, I realized how powerful the mind is and how easy it is to think the concepts are the real world. And I really did. I thought the concepts were it. They were descriptions of what really exists, concrete ideas. Okay. With that in mind, then every day becomes, with being aware of that, every day becomes a really good day if I'm aware of it. My idea of perfection are based on what I acquired on the journey of my life with my parents, friends, society, what they told me, what I should accept as valuable and what to do and not to do, what to appreciate and what to appreciate and not appreciate, what was appropriate and not appropriate. These ideas were absolute. They were in stone. The ideas were, there was no freedom at all, no wiggle room, no taking into account any particular situation, whether it made any sense or not. Having fixed, unquestionable ideas of perfection can lead to great pain for ourselves and others. There's nothing wrong with setting high standards, but these standards have to be looked at in each situation as they arise, and endeavor to choose to pursue. I'm getting confused again. That happens. Anyway, and choose what is the way to actually pursue these different things that arise. Not have them set in stone, because all of a sudden you're in chains and really can't react appropriately. And I've been reading a book by Beth Kempton, which is called Wabi Sabi. And in that, there's a description of a potter by the name of Makiko Hastings. And she describes how she strives to improve the form of her craft without ever expecting to attain absolute perfection. She knows that imperfection is the true nature of things. So she works at edging closer to the best she can do and be, without a false expectation of where she will end up. And I find that really, really beautiful. And it had actually, before, when I was talking about pottery, that's how I feel about it. I come to it with no expectation. And it is so easy. You know, if I goof up and it falls apart, everything's fine. I'll just start over again. Actually, one of the things a quote that I like from Winston Churchill that comes up, and I may have said it before, but he said, success is going from one failure to another without losing enthusiasm. And, you know, I remember, you know, back in the day when I was a child doing the mathematics, I had lost my enthusiasm. And that's why I pretty much went into hiding, so to speak. But this practice has made me aware that you make mistakes, you fall down, you get back up again, over and over and over. And sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes it is. But you still get up, over and over and over and face the day. And I think this is what Yunman is saying about having a good day. It's not before or after the 15th. It's right this very instant, right now. When I was younger, I would often sit on the cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And I did this quite often. The waves breaking on the rocks below, never to see that again. Never again will I see that particular wave hit that rock. It was in that moment of constant change that I first became aware of the good day. It was a good day while I was sitting there, and that was just me and the waves and the rocks and the ocean. And that awareness comes and goes like the tide. Thank you.